Welcome to another episode of Toby's Stupid Vlog.
Good morning. Welcome to Castle Coombe, famous for a British Formula 3 circuit, old aerodrome, and a very pretty village which we're just walking down into at the moment. So what I don't think I appreciated is that Castle Coombe is at the bottom of the hill. Castle Coombe racetrack is at the top of the hill, which presumably means actually they don't really get disturbed by the noise when it's in use, which is quite nice. Now there's a beautiful fireplace smell coming from this cottage here. It's lovely. Let's have a look. Slow, free-range children. Oh, actually, I'll zoom in. Look at the blueness of it. So this is Lower Castle Coombe, I guess, or Castle Coombe proper. It's very pretty. The old town square and the church and whatnot. So this is the Manor House Hotel in Castle Coombe. And wow, just because I feel that I owe them this from videoing it, if you want more information, look, you can check out their Twitter or their Instagram. It's quite special. Snowdrops underfoot, I want to stand on them. So even the gardens of this place are amazing. I mean, amazing stonework, and they've got a little orchard with bees. These little water features. This baby with one arm. And it's obviously Castle Coombe's kind of in a basin, so you've got this high ridge running all the way around. It keeps it quite sheltered actually. But it's very, very beautiful. So that's where we just came from, which is the Manor House and what have you, and down a full loop. But now we have to go back up the hill. Welcome to Tetbury, a place that I remember surprisingly vividly, even though it's 20 years since I've been here. And the reason I remember it vividly is because we came here one morning from my grandparents' place, and I didn't want to be here at all, and for some reason, because of that, it's sort of stuck in my brain. So weird. So we finished wandering around Tetbury. We had a very nice lunch in this crazy place I showed you called the Blue Zucchini. Had a look in one of the many antique shops. Bought nothing, thankfully. And now we're at Westonbirt Arboretum. We're going to go for a bit of a walk. Coming across the bridge. There's the car park. This is the valley below. And we're up in the trees. Some interesting parts on this very long bridge. How far have we gone? A couple hundred metres. This very unassuming collection of old stumps with new growth. Are very, very old, a couple of 1,000-year-old limes that have coppiced, been chopped back and regrown. Here in the wilds of Westonbirt. Look at this blossom. It's like spring has actually begun, which it hasn't, but it's nice to be fooled. We're back in Malmesbury. This is the first time I've tried to film in this low light on my new phone, which I'll talk about later on. But it works pretty well. You can actually see things, it's not just blackness. We're looking for an Italian restaurant or two, and we'll just pick our favourite. So the weather outside is challenging. So we're going to try and find somewhere that's a bit more inside to go on our way back to Kew. This is the very windy entrance to Dyrham Park, coming down the hill from the car park. It's going to be sort of 40-mile-an-hour winds later. At the moment it's just a sort of pleasant 20-mile-an-hour wind. It was raining quite heavily, now it's sort of stopped a bit. It's very wintry weather. It's reminding us that spring hasn't started just yet. There it is. Dyrham House. I had a bit of a quick tour around the house because it's dry indoors and warm. And there we are, towards the gardens. And Dyrham Church, which is just out the back. It's the house in the back, that's where we went in a moment ago. We're going to try and get into the church, which is here. These are the formal gardens, but obviously it's March, so there's work being done. The wind is picking up. We're thinking of where we can go for lunch, somewhere around the M4 corridor between here and Richmond. It's a nice little church. It's very oldie worldy, very English parish. Exactly what you expect, really. But we've got to get back up the hill to where the car is, which either involves walking, which is less appealing, or conveniently there's a shuttle bus that goes every 15 minutes from just outside the courtyard. So the wind's picking up, as we knew it would. The storm's on the way. We've come to a garden centre because we like garden centres, and apparently it has a very good restaurant and farm shop. The wind is howling outside. But in the farm shop, which is excellent, it is calm and full of vegetables. We've just bought some Moroccan lamb burgers and some mince to make a bolognese for the week ahead. And now we're going to hit the road and head out into the storm. Good afternoon. So I'm going for a bit of a walk before the rains come, which is going to be soon, so I'm going to walk fast. Now, if you've wondered why the vlog has been looking slightly sharper, slightly crisper, nicer this last week, that's because after last week's trip with the drone out to Richmond Park, my phone had a complete spaz meltdown, as I mentioned, and the battery on it's basically nearly done, and it was a good trigger for me to go and look to get a new phone. So I wasn't prepared to buy a new one because they're ridiculously expensive. An iPhone XS currently costs about £1,000 UK, which is too much to spend on a phone. So I managed to find someone who was selling an almost new one on eBay and got it for substantially less than that. So now I have a nice shiny new XS, and the video on it is great, and 4K, and the photos on it are fantastic. They're really good. They do make you wonder why you carry a camera around. So I'm going to go make the most of that in the park. By the park I mean Kew Gardens. And if you haven't noticed any difference in the quality of the videos, it's most likely because I haven't managed to make iMovie actually export anything in 4K. So apologies, I'll have to come up with another solution if that's the case. So one of the many advantages of this camera is it's very, very steady, as you can see when I'm walking. And because it has two cameras actually built in, you can switch between them and go from 1x zoom to 2x zoom like that without losing any quality. It's very nice. I go for a bit of an orbit of the gardens before the rains close in. See if I can go back. It's quite hard with my gloves on. There we go. It's much easier if you're not wearing gloves, which, you know, March ideally I wouldn't be, but it's a bit chilly today. So let's go for a stroll. We're going to come back to the Orchid Festival on Saturday, which is the penultimate day, with our parents in tow. But it's nice to see it during the week when there's almost nobody in here. It's ever so nice in here, all with the big sloth and the hummingbird. Wild birds, I have no idea where that comes from. It's pretty quiet, the wind's dropped, it's slightly gloomy and very still. This is usually the weather you get just before a very large rainstorm. But the rain isn't here just yet, looking at the weather map, so this doesn't mean it couldn't be here in 10 minutes. But it's supposed to be a bit further away than that, so I'm not really sure. I still think it is going to rain, I just don't think it's going to rain in the next half an hour, so I am still edging my way towards a gate for fear that I'm wrong. I don't know, it's quite pleasant right now. If it stayed like this, it'd actually be nice, but it never does when it gets to this kind of point. Good afternoon, nearly. Actually, if once it's morning. Happy Friday. So I haven't actually filmed much since the weekend, but I filmed plenty out the weekend, so probably alright. I'm just doing a little lap of Kew. I've read some board papers, I've got more to read. This week I've been working on this documentary about Robin Knox Johnston, who is the first man to single-handedly navigate a yacht non-stop around the globe. Fascinating story. The thing with documentary making is at some point you lose track of the actual story because the actual process becomes really annoying and people want to change this, change that, tiny things, constant tiny things. So that is what is happening today, and then I've got to resume a project that I started on Monday, catch up with that a bit because the weekend got my parents and Crystal's parents coming into Kew on Saturday to see the Orchid Festival, and then on Sunday I'm supposed to be walking another part of the Thames with Tom and Steve, but the weather is like a bit like this, so cold and grey, so I'm not really looking forward to it that much, but we'll have to just dress warmly. This is the Pavilion restaurant, which is nearly done now, so that's exciting because I'm quite hungry despite the fact it's 11:45. I'm feeling a bit lazy, so the word of the week this week is going to be cottage, because we stayed in cottage at the weekend. Very imaginative, well done me. So first of all, in which one do I do first usually? In German, cottage is die Hütte. Die Hütte, that's the closest you can get. There isn't really such thing as a cottage. So die Hütte is cottage in German, and in Italian you'll remember this one. Cottage is il cottage. So there we go, il cottage. Brilliant. So there we go, that was cottage in German and Italian, and that was this week's word of the week. I have to say that I've been very impressed with this phone for the week that I've had it now. I'm very much enjoying taking pictures and video of things in very high resolution and nice colours, so that's good. I thought I would leave you with one thought that I had this week. So I, in the last few years, have sort of changed my lifestyle quite dramatically by becoming a freelancer and, you know, going for lots of walks and doing work wherever rather than in one office. And it's very It's very good for the soul, and I found it's meant that more often than not I find I'm in a more relaxed atmosphere than I would otherwise be. But that doesn't always work out as a positive. So what I have also found is that when I'm then exposed to what most people might describe as sort of normal levels of stress that people go through in, you know, day to day through work and what have you, and travelling and all those kind of things that I don't really experience, I find them more stressful than most other people, which is very odd because I'm now so used to having such an easy life. I am aware that this is very much a first world problem, and it's not by any means causing me any issue. It's just something I've noticed, and you just have to sort of retune yourself to everyone else's sort of base stress level whenever you interact. And as soon as you do that, everything's fine again. But then you realise, like, what a charmed life you lead. So, you know, can't really complain. It's more of an observation than a complaint. Anyway, I am going to go back home because it's gone a bit grey and cold. The sun was out earlier, and I have other things to do, so I can't hang around here all day being relaxed and that. So I better do a sign off because I'm become increasingly bad at actually doing sign offs on my videos, and then I have to record it like 2 weeks later and explain why, you know, I've changed clothes and grown my hair. Before I go, today is International Women's Day, which, because I haven't actually been working for anybody today, I haven't really seen a lot of it. And historically, I've worked on a couple of projects for it, which always feels weird. Not because of any other reason, except that the reason I'm usually working is because they can't find a woman who does that particular job. And that, to me, is pathetic. Like, for all the things I can do, edit videos, shoot videos, edit audio, record audio, there is a woman who can do it at least as well as I can. And it's always upsetting when I've worked on projects for International Women's Day and I've said, why couldn't you get an all-women team to do this? And people have said, like, oh, you know, we tried and we couldn't find someone. Or, oh, that's a good idea, we hadn't thought of that. And you just think, oh, come on. Seriously, you're supposed to be showcasing women's talent. So there is a lot of fantastic women out there, and there's a lot of really good content that's being produced today. I hope you take it in, enjoy it, understand why it is important that we have a day like this. One day in a year, it's not much. Every day should be thought of in the same way that a lot of people think of International Women's Day. You have to remove the biases that already exist in your mind and try and encourage more women into every space, professionally and otherwise. That's all I had to say for the time being. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you'll subscribe, click the bell, do all those things. I'll see you next week, which will obviously involve a bit of Kew Gardens, because it always does. And hopefully on Sunday I'll get some nice footage because we're doing the next leg of the Thames Walk. See you then.
Toby